Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of AndrewsFootball.com, and it's Friday, so you know what that means. I'm breaking down the New York Jets. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'm breaking down a new NFL football team every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday. I'm going through the order of the draft. So number one was Arizona, number two San Francisco, of course today's the Jets, and I'm breaking down every team preseason. Actually, the last couple teams I may get at the very start of the NFL preseason, but I'm breaking all teams down, and I'm breaking down what I like, what I don't like, but stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to break down how they're going to do against Vegas. So I'm just going to jump in here what I like. I'm in a minority here, but I really like the Adam Gase signing. This is a guy who his rookie season as head coach of the Miami Dolphins took Ryan Tannehill to the playoffs. All right. And I remember thinking that when he went to the playoffs his first season, I remember thinking, man, this might not be a good thing because this team had no business being in the playoffs whatsoever. And then if you remember, Tannehill actually got injured and they had to limp in with Chad Henne and they lost in the playoffs to the Steelers, who ended up beating my Chiefs at Arrowhead and went to the AFC Championship game. But this was, I thought, a great hire because he got a bad deal in Miami. All right. If you watch my Arizona video, I talked about one of the things I liked is they let Cliff Kingsbury get his quarterback in Kyler Murray. Well, Joe Philbin wanted Tannehill, and then they brought in Adam Gase because Tannehill wasn't progressing enough, and they thought, well, you know, you're a talented offensive coordinator, a really good quarterback coach. Maybe you can do something with this talented kid. But he ended up taking him to the playoffs his first year, and then, you know, he finished with, you know, a sub-500 record overall as 3 years head coach. And keep in mind, he's the coach of Miami Dolphins, who are a team in the AFC East. So except for Bill Belichick, this guy, Adam Gase, has the most experience in the AFC East. So you're hiring somebody who already knows this division. So I really like that. Now, I brought up quarterbacks and Ryan Tannehill earlier. Let me ask you something. If you are an NFL scout and you are the number one scout of Ryan Tannehill, you're Ryan Tannehill's number one guy, did you give him a higher grade than you gave Darnold? Is there an NFL scout anywhere that gave Ryan Tannehill a better grade coming out of A&M than Sam Darnold? The answer is no. So that's the thing that I really, really like is that Darnold was my number one quarterback. And most teams that go 4-12, most teams that pick in the top 5, they don't have a franchise quarterback. This team does. And the best part is this kid should be a senior at USC. Not in his second year in the NFL, but he's really talented. So, you know, you got a guy who's really good with quarterbacks, and you got a great quarterback with a ton of potential. The third thing I like about the New York Jets is Greg Williams. I mean, this is a guy who got screwed out of the Cleveland job as far as I'm concerned. Here's a team that 2 years ago goes winless. They fire their coach. They bring in an interim coach, a defensive coordinator. Defense looks awesome. Leads Cleveland to a winning record. All right? Now with everything that's happening in Cleveland, think about this. Here's a coach who led Cleveland to a winning record, and you get rid of him after going winless? I mean, I thought that they got screwed, so you bring him in as defensive coordinator. I think it's a home run hire. And here's the thing. There's a lot of talent on this defense, and you even got the Williams guys on the defensive line, which brings me to my fourth thing, is that when the draft, I watched literally thousands of mock drafts, and one thing that universally nobody had anything negative to say about Quinnen Williams. You can poke holes in every player in the draft if you look hard enough. Nobody had anything negative to say about Quinnen Williams. But look, they ignore Quinnen Williams. This was a really good draft. Shaquille Polite was a first-round player until the draft process. He didn't have a good combine. Had a horrible interview practice. A lot of teams even took him off their board completely. But this is a guy, if you watch him on tape, this is a bona fide first-round player. So you get him with a really good defensive coach, plus you get Quinnen Williams, a lot of people think is the number one player in the draft, together as your defensive line. Blake Cashman, here's a guy who, if you watch him on film, very, very productive, had a really, really good combine. This guy is a 5th-round pick. I saw a lot of mock drafts going 2nd, 3rd round, even late 1st for a few of them, not too many. I didn't have him as a 1st-round player myself, but this is a guy in the 5th round, is a great player. Trayvon Wesco, this is a 269-pound tight end blocker who has really good hands, wasn't used in the passing offense. If you know anything about West Virginia, they use a spread offense, don't really have a use for a tight end. Really, really, really good player. So the thing is about this draft, even though they only had 6 picks, there could be 4 or 5 starters out of this draft. I'm not joking. Quentin Williams and Polite will probably start. And Wesco and Cashman could also be starters sooner than later. And so to sum up what I like about the New York Jets, I like the coaching staff. All right, Adam Gase, I think, was a great hire. Greg Williams, also a great hire. You got a franchise quarterback, extremely talented quarterback, and a really good draft. I didn't even mention free agency, which I'm going to touch base here in a little bit. But I'm going to touch base with what I don't like about the New York Jets. And first thing is Le'Veon Bell skipping voluntary practices. And it just made news yesterday that his 2 girlfriends stole $520,000 worth of jewelry in his Florida home. Now, the Jets spent $52.5 million, and I'm not going to get into contract specifics, but they spent a lot of money on Le'Veon Bell, and he's behind on the playbook, and he's skipping practices. It's just not a good look. I mean, the burglary, the missing practices. This is just, when you spend that type of money, you should have had him come in, and everybody is agreeing. Le'Veon Bell, Adam Gase, hey, he's just behind on the playbook. But when he comes to camp, maybe he should already be there. I think this is a bad look. And speaking of bad looks, after your GM does the draft, spends all the free agent money, you get rid of him. All right? This is how bad franchises work. This is, again, it's not a good look. Here's what you should have done. After you go 4-12, you clean house and you start from scratch. Get a coach, get a GM, get on the right page immediately. Because Gase was public that they gave Bell and Mosley too much money, and then you put him in as interim GM. They're still looking for a GM, and it's June. All right? I mean, you already have your money spent. You already have the players drafted. And here's another thing. What if Bell and Mosley end up playing awesome? What if you do get 4 or 5 starters out of this draft? And then you got to turn around and say, well, the GM did a good job. We got rid of him. So what do you do? I just think this is how bad teams operate, because basically you have to start over from scratch next year when you should have been starting from scratch this year. So what you could have done is said, okay, we got our franchise quarterback. You got Jamal Adams, who's an absolute stud. What do we do from here? But now you got other pieces in play. You got money used that everybody's not on the same page about. This is how bad teams work. All right. And speaking of how bad teams manage themselves, look, and how do you build a team? Let's take a look at the Jets offense here. I'm looking at Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa. Hopefully, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. And Jamison Crowder is your 3 starting wide receivers. Now, I want to be very clear. I like Robbie Anderson. I like Quincy Enunwa, even though I'm butchering his name. I actually like Jamison Crowder also, but these are 2s and 3s. This isn't your number 1 guy. Who's your tight end? Now keep in mind, if you end up starting Wesco, your 4th round pick, as your starting tight end, yes, that's good, but I mean, is this what you're wanting to start the season off with? Was that your plan? Because I'm looking at the serious skill position deficiency. And Le'Veon Bell didn't even play last year, so you can't really count on him being the same type of player he was in 2017. So, I mean, another thing is that look at your offensive line. All right? I like the Osmall trade, but this offensive line needs help, and your skill position players need help for your quarterback, who should be a senior at USC. So here's to sum this up. What I don't like is Le'Veon Bell isn't caught up on the playbook. He's making the news for the wrong things. You fire your GM after he does all the after he spends all your free agent money and he drafts all your players. Then you go ahead and you're trying to build a team and you have a lot of holes in it. So how is this going to fare for this year? Well, I told you to stay tuned till the very end because this brings me to the advanced section. This is the advanced class. This is the money-making class. All right, this is the money-making section of the video here. Vegas has the over/under at 7.5 at -110 for both the over and under. What that means is you have to wager $110 to win 100, either on the over or the under, depending on how you like it. Because action's being placed both ways, or it's not being placed at all because Vegas hasn't moved one up or the other one up. But I'm just going to hit you straight. I don't see how this team makes it to 500. I mean, over 7.5 would be 8, which is 500. So now, if you're a Jets fan, you should be really excited because the Patriots' reign of terror is coming to an end. I don't know if it's already ended, if it's this year, 2020 or 2021. But going into the 20s, which team's in the best shape? And the answer is the New York Jets. I mean, you got a franchise quarterback. Jamal Adams looks like an absolute monster on the defensive side. You have a really talented defense, and you also have a franchise quarterback. So the future is extremely bright for the New York Jets. But for 2019, I don't see how they get over 7.5 wins. So if I was going to bet on this team, I would bet the under. Now, keep in mind, there's enough talent in this team that maybe they can get to 8 wins, but I just don't see how. So I would definitely take the under if you are going to bet on the New York Jets. So listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. But if you're new to my channel, I got some playlists coming here, and here. Or is it here and here? I don't know where I got them at yet, but they're up there. Check out some of my previous content. And I got another great idea here. Check out this button right here. I enlarged it for you. Look at it right here. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Monday, I'm breaking down the Oakland Raiders. So have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday.